Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's 8 p.m. Cairo local time, and this is a new edition of Panorama News. In the upcoming 35 minutes, we'll be bringing you the latest of the political, economic and sports news from all around the world. I'm Hani Saif. I'll be your host for tonight, and we'll start off with the political news, where President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received former French President Nicolas Sarkozy, who is spending a holiday in Egypt. The meeting, which was held at the Ittihadiyya Presidential Palace, was attended by Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry. The President welcomed Sarkozy, who is visiting the country with his family, expressing appreciation for his former contributions to strengthening bilateral ties. President Sisi commended the current positive trajectory of the Egyptian-French relations on all levels. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received on Monday the delegation of African Peer Review Mechanism, headed by its CEO, Professor Edward Maloko, in the attendance of Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry. Presidential spokesman Bassem Radi said that during the meeting, President el-Sisi praised the role of the APRM in supporting the development efforts in the African countries, enhancing democracy principles, and following up the implementation of sustainable development targets within Africa Agenda 2063. The President also stressed Egypt's support to the mechanism as one of its founding countries and welcomed the launch of APRM's report on Egypt. The head of state expressed keenness on fostering cooperation with the mechanism within Egypt's strategy to provide citizens with a decent and safe life, a matter which he said embodies through health initiatives which aim at improving living conditions of citizens. For their part, the APRM delegation expressed appreciation for Egypt's serious steps at political, social and economic levels, especially in the fields of youth and women empowerment. They also hailed Egypt's efforts in boosting the African joint cooperation in various domains. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on Monday received U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, John Kerry. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Radi said that President el-Sisi stated that Egypt will adopt a neutral stance while hosting UN Climate Conference COP27, set to be held in Sharm el-Sheikh next November. The President pointed out that Egypt will put into consideration the priorities and stances of all parties in order to guarantee fruitful results in favor of climate global work. The presidential spokesperson stated that el-Sisi welcomed holding the first meeting of the Egyptian-U.S. Working Group over climate change, expressing willingness to consult with the U.S. side on climate change issues during the upcoming period. For his part, Kerry stressed the U.S.'s confidence in Egypt's leadership of the next climate summit and its keenness on boosting joint cooperation between the two countries on this file to push international efforts on climate change. Kerry also praised President el-Sisi's keen interest in climate work on the international level, in addition to green transformation on a local level. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry stressed that Egypt will exert every effort to raise optimism over combating climate change and the implementation of the Paris Accord, as Cairo continues preparing for the United Nations COP27 conference in Sharm el-Sheikh in November. Addressing a joint press conference with Special Presidential Envoy for Climate, John Kerry, following talks at the Foreign Ministry, Shoukry said they discussed the promising potentials for Egypt's conversion into a regional green and clean energy hub. The top diplomat also said they also discussed expanding participation of U.S. companies in Egypt's green transformation projects, including green hydrogen production, power generation from solar and wind energy sources, and low-carbon transportation projects. Shoukry also called for wider U.S. companies' investments in the Suez Canal's economic zone. For his part, U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry said the U.S. has full confidence in Egypt's chairmanship of the COP27 conference, as Cairo took several steps and put important goals in regard to climate. Kerry stressed the need for swift action to face climate change, with the accelerating rates of ice meltdowns and rising sea levels on a global basis, asserting the importance of implementing promises and commitments made during Glasgow COP26 in helping more countries to join. Ahead of their press conference, Shukri and Kerry launched a joint Egyptian-US working group over climate change. Minister Shukri said the working group was agreed upon during last year's round of Egyptian-US strategic dialogue. He added that they also discussed priorities and goals of the Egyptian-chaired COP27, including making funds available to developing countries to implement the Paris 2015 Agreement on climate change. Shukri and U.S. Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry Monday launched the U.S.-Egypt Climate Working Group after their meeting at the Foreign Ministry premises in Cairo. During a press briefing held jointly with the U.S. envoy at the end of their session of talks, Shukri said that an agreement was reached to form a group during the U.S.-Egypt strategic dialogue held in November last year. The top diplomat welcomed Kerry on his second visit to Cairo since he assumed his current post. Shukri said that climate change is a common priority of both Cairo and Washington, noting that Egypt is preparing to host the UN Climate Change Conference, COP27, in 2022. The top diplomat said Egypt will lead international efforts to face climate change in the coming stage. He added that his talks with Kerry focused on goals of the upcoming COP27, stressing that Egypt would continue to exert utmost efforts at all levels with the aim to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and support adaptation to the negative impact of climate change. Shukri added that COP27 will also tackle finances needed to enable developing countries to do their part of the Paris Agreement. He told Kerry that Egypt is keen on empowering youth and the civil society where climate change is concerned. Shukri and Kerry agreed on the next steps to continue joint coordination about top priority issues on the agenda of COP27. The foreign minister hailed as pivotal the role played by Washington in terms of global climate action. Kerry, for his part, said the group is focused on the COP27 conference in Egypt's Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. He said the country has already begun its preparations for the meeting. Kerry said that the U.S. was also working with Egypt on its own transition to a clean energy future. The U.S.-Egypt Climate Working Group is a joint endeavor to advance bilateral and multilateral climate goals ahead of COP27. Egyptian and French naval and air forces carried out joint drills Ramses 2022 that takes a few days. From the French side, French carrier Charles de Gaulle and a group of accompanying fighters, in addition to a number of Rafale fighter jets, participate in the drills. From the Egyptian side, frigates, rocket boats and elements of naval forces, in addition to a number of F-16 fighters, Rafale and MiG-29 jets, participate in the drills. A number of armed forces commanders and French military attaché in Cairo attended the exercises. The end of February 2020 marked the start of the deadly COVID-19 outbreak in Italy, and the moment life as we knew it changed forever.
The end of February 2020 marked the start of the deadly COVID-19 outbreak in Italy, and the moment life as we knew it changed forever. Italy was the first Western country to be hit by the pandemic after the virus erupted in Wuhan, China in December 2019. On January 31, 2020, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. The first wave of COVID-19 hit mainly northern Italy. Hospitals were overwhelmed in the cities of Bergamo, Brescia and Milan, while southern and central Italy remained mostly untouched. Rome was heavily struck by the pandemic later in autumn when the Tor Vergata hospital was turned into one of the biggest COVID-19 hubs in the Italian capital. Ordinary units were turned into sub-intensive care units to double the number of COVID-19, that's 260.